One can't feel them and eat the mangoes. One has to be here. Traveling through Himachal Pradesh in India is a fascinating journey through time, space and nature. As we go along the Beas River towards our destination, that is mcleodganj, in the lower Himalayas, to observe and meet the Tibetan community, we see that every place has a distinct culture and scenic beauty of its own. The travel from Dharamshala took us via hairpin bends and steep roads up to mcleodganj. Main mcleodganj has just one square where one sees the hub of all the activity. When we reach mcleodganj, we realize that indeed this is Little Lhasa. Tibetan communities everywhere, foreign international tourists visiting this place, and a misty eternal beauty which has a lazy yet dignified effect. In the mountains, one can't feel them and eat the mangoes. One has to be here. Traveling through Himachal Pradesh in India is a fascinating journey through time, space and nature. As we go along the Beas River towards our destination, that is mcleodganj, in the lower Himalayas, to observe and meet the Tibetan community, we see that every place has a distinct culture and scenic beauty of its own. The travel from Dharamshala took us via hairpin bends and steep roads up to mcleodganj. Main mcleodganj has just one square where one sees the hub of all the activity. When we reach mcleodganj, we realize that indeed this is Little Lhasa. Tibetan communities everywhere, foreign international tourists visiting this place, and a misty eternal beauty which has a lazy yet dignified effect. We decided, as we were told by a local Himachali rickshaw driver, why don't you try the Baksu temple first? We thought that was prudent, as we were not getting any needed appointment to the prayer meetings, or the village school, or the Gu Su Chum, or some functionaries of the Tibetan community. We set off with this fellow to the Baksu temple. The Baksu temple is a fascinating place of worship. Legend has it that a king in the now state of Rajasthan had no water in his kingdom, and all the people living in his kingdom were fleeing. So, as they pleaded with him, he set off in search of clean drinking water. Here, he came to the Dal lake where he fought a Rakshasa to get the water, but in the process, he lost his life. Then, this reservoir was formed to create a waterway for the kingdom. Everyone takes a holy dip here. We see international tourists here, but no Tibetans. There's nothing much we can see after this, and we reached back to our room for our lunch and rest. Tibetan TV showed us some documentaries on the Dalai Lama. He's omnipresent. That night, it rained again. The night lights of the small town had a psychedelic effect. So many international tourists and Tibetans make it an international location. Another aspect one starts to learn about mcleodganj is that it is always raining, and it rains terribly sometimes. Otherwise, the weather is misty all the time. All international tourists who visit India do come to mcleodganj once. One has to come to mcleodganj once in his lifetime. It's a great spiritual and peaceful experience. The next morning, we saw the Tibetan shops by the roadside unwinding with Tibetan mementos and tourists at the cafe, and the best destination was the monastery of the Dalai Lama. Here, we heard the monks chanting and praying. The wheels of fortune and good wishes are fascinating. It was a great experience. Needless to say, it rained again that evening. When it rains so terribly in the mountains, it's frightening. There is divine energy one feels when he's here. In today's fast-moving world, we often outstretch and stress ourselves to achieve our goals. Here, all had one common objective, that was to be de-stressed oneself. The whole place has changed into a different world altogether. Finally, we were near the man who is considered a great propagator of peace, a unique religious leader. There is divine energy one feels when he is there. In today's fast-moving world, we often outstretch and stress ourselves to achieve our goals. Here, all had one common objective, that was to de-stress oneself. The greatness of Shiva, the god, was a distinct trait of his character. While some gods and goddesses wore various types of ornaments, some had crowns on their heads, some bangles on their wrists, earrings, gold-decorated girdles around their waists, Shiva had no ornaments. His ornaments were his followers, his devotees, the common people. All, whether rich or poor, troubled, joyful, good, bad, ugly, were included. Somehow, the Tibetans are so humble, silent, and perfect bodhisattvas of today.